All right, welcome to Deschutes County Board of Commissioners meeting for 1 p.m. Monday, November 15th, 2021. First item on the agenda is Pledge of Allegiance. Please join me.
Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So getting right into our action items today, item number 1, consideration of chair signature of a notice of intent to award contract for landfill siting consultant. Chad.
Good afternoon. Chad Santola, Interim Director, Department of Solid Waste. Since the Solid Waste Management Plan was adopted back in 2019, we've been working on getting a landfill siting process going. You know, not landfill is going to reach capacity in 2029. We formed a group with other department heads from CDD, legal, IT, property and facilities management, and county administration to form a landfill siting group to kind of hone our siting process. And we've been working in earnest for that for about a year now. And we got to a point where it was time to hire a consultant to assist us with the process of getting to a short list of candidate sites for a new landfill. So back in June, we did a solicitation for a request for qualifications from firms for providing that assistance to us. We received statements of qualifications from 7 firms, and the landfill siting group reviewed those and generated a short list of 3 firms. We invited all 3 firms to do presentations to the committee, and after that did a solicitation with those 3 firms for proposals for doing the landfill siting process with us. And Parametrics continue to receive high ratings throughout the entire process, and so we're making the recommendation to issue a notice of intent to award to Parametrics for this in the amount of $350,140.
Great. I was able to review those 3, the 3 proposals. I think they were sent to us, or at least I asked for it and I was able to review. So it's interesting seeing the experience, the kind of the roundedness of the groups. I want to thank all 3 organizations for putting in that, the package and being involved in this process also.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a long process, and certainly one of the more rigorous consultant selection processes I've been in my career. But as important as this is to the county, we wanted to make sure we honed the scope of work and got the right firm to assist us with the process. And I think we're going to do very well with Parametrics in the lead here.
And even going through this process sharpens the whole project already, because you're thinking about the land use, the environmental requirements, the business case, the possibilities into the future. Everybody's really been already thinking through what needs to happen.
Absolutely.
And the steps involved.
Yes.
Any questions or thoughts?
Not really, no. I mean, these are 3 very large, very well qualified businesses, companies, and I'm sure that part of the process was not just evaluating the different companies' proposals, but the teams that they put forward. Because, I mean, each one of these companies probably has, 5 specialists of each kind that they need to put together a team to do a project like this, and getting so we're not just looking at the business, but we're looking at the bundle of people that they put forward to work on our specific project. And
Yeah, all 3 firms had sub-consultants on their teams with it, and that goodness of fit was definitely one of the critical points we looked at for the selection.
Right.
I would just like to say that this makes me, I'm so glad we're at this point today, but I've been a commissioner for 3 years, and this is something that was on our agenda, I believe, in 19. We talked about it in 19, we talked about it in 20, and then, of course, COVID happened, but we only, starting 22, we only have 7 years left to get this cited, and I'm glad we're hiring the best available, but this is, I know this has got to be done sooner, and everyone said it's going to be a battle, so let's hope they were able to actually accomplish this in 7 years.
One of the questions we asked in the selection process was what they thought of the timeline. And each of the three firms shared their comments on that. It could be tight, but I think you're going to see the momentum on the process build quickly once we get parametrics on board and they roll up their sleeves and get working on this.
Because I remember talking with Tom Anderson months ago, saying that, you know what, we're not quite getting there, and we need to go somewhere else, and, you know, so, okay, it's going to be tight, isn't it?
It's going to be a challenge, yes.
Okay. Well, let's ask everyone to do as much recycling as they can, right?
There you go.
Recycle. Don't put it in the trash.
Recycle, reduce, and reuse. There
Right.
you go.
Yes.
That does raise, I mean, one question I have after just listening to that was, this particular piece, this site analysis piece, how long does this contract, this specific piece of work go?
Their schedule is 14 months to get to completion on that. At that point, we should have a short list of 3 sites, and we'll develop a scope of work for doing the final analysis to get to a single site sort on that. So I would expect within about 2 years, we'll be on a single site evaluation step here.
This is a big one.
It is. It is a substantial step in this process.
Months.
Okay, is there a motion?
So I move approval of the notice of intent to award the landfill siting consultant services to Parametrics Incorporated.
Second.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, Commissioner Adair,
Yes.
Commissioner Chang,
Yes.
and Chair votes yes. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chad.
Item number 2, review of preliminary work plan for Deschutes County Dark Skies Ordinance.
Good
Tarek.
afternoon, Commissioners. For the record, Tarek Rawlings, I'm an associate planner with the Community Development Department. And yeah, we have a preliminary work plan for an update to the county's dark sky ordinance in front of you today. It's been on the county's work plan for the last 2 fiscal years, so this would be really kind of acting on it with a specific timeline. The timeline's kind of on the 2nd and 3rd pages of your memo. But largely, it's outlining the public process. A lot of it's focused around creating a panel that's convened by the Planning Commission with experts and different folks that could weigh in on best practices. And really, there's an overall timeline to get these text amendments ultimately finished by August of 2022, if that timeline works for the board. And I'm here for any questions you might have or for any changes or suggestions you have for this preliminary work plan.
So I like, this is starting a project, right? It's like opening up the book, saying, okay, what's working, what's not, what's the public opinion on this, what's the newest technology or policies that we've seen in other jurisdictions, and then getting the community input on it, see if there's truly some changes in our county code for this. And I think of it as, the lighting of the fields, like at the sports events. I'm just thinking back to watching the birds fly around the lights at night, eating all the mosquitoes flying around and stuff. But there's some really bright man-made things that we do, and we all appreciate dark skies also. So it'll be an interesting conversation, but go ahead and open it up from my point of view, and then let's get it closed by August.
Great. Yeah, and we'd be coming back for regular check-ins with the
Yep.
board and the Planning Commission just for kind of big milestones along the way. So yeah, you'd be hearing a lot from us.
Yeah, this 3-phase approach and these specific activities and tasks, I mean, it seems like a good process to me.
Great.
And actually, I have been really happy driving around, seeing Christmas lights are going up. And I know we haven't had Thanksgiving yet, but I do feel that our world needs something to cheer you up, and seeing Christmas lights has really been lovely. So thank you to everyone who's actually put up their lights already.
There you go.
I see they can be up for
Well-
45 days here.
Exactly. I was going to call out our existing ordinance, and what would probably carry over allows for things like Christmas.
Right.
Oh.
So 45 days seems fair.
Well, and the advent of LED lighting, I know that some of the street lights used to be sodium vapor or whatever, different technology, yellow and different colors, and they are bright white these days. So it's just a different environment than it was just a few years ago. So it'll be good to bring this open. So So, no action today specifically, is there?
No action.
Just review, yeah.
Be the first kind of letting you know the preliminary work plan. I'd probably come back sometime, potentially with some findings from our preliminary research, maybe in early January or something like that, if that works for the board.
It does
Yeah.
say that they want a motion.
Is there a
Move
motion?
approval for staff to initiate an.
Right, or if you have recommendations to change the work
Yeah.
plan, I'd be happy to incorporate those into a new version.
Is there a motion?
Oh.
Yeah, just-
Or, I move board approval for staff to initiate an update of the county's dark skies ordinance.
Second it?
Okay, so so the big action for today is to have the community hear that we're starting this process. So hopefully somebody will publish it in the front page of the paper tomorrow or something. But yeah, with that, any other discussion?
There was a lot of public input into the planning commission's, or was it the planning commission's work plan, or was it for the CDD work plan?
It's the CDD work plan, and you're correct, we've gotten a lot of emails,
Yeah,
just public
that's good.
comments, with support behind this kind of an update, yeah.
So I'm glad we can get this process going to be responsive to all those constituent interests. So,
Absolutely.
We're calling for the vote. Commissioner Chang?
yes.
Commissioner Dare?
Yes.
The chair votes yes. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Commissioners. Have a good.
Thank you.
Let's see, we're 10 minutes into it.
And there he is.
Item number 3, consideration of a memorandum of understanding with the city of Redmond. Chris Doty, thanks for being ready. We're rolling today.
Yeah, good afternoon, board. Very glad I didn't pay attention to the alarm I set on my phone because it hasn't gone off yet
For 1:45, exactly.
to join you. But before you, board, is the memorandum of understanding that was discussed at the joint city Board of County Commissioners meeting last Tuesday evening with the city of Redmond. And just to briefly recap, the city is designing a wetlands treatment complex to treat all the effluent for the city over the next 20 plus years off Northwest Way, that would be Northwest Redmond, which is just several miles southeast of Terrebonne. At the same time, the city's designing that and kind of quickly trying to get that designed and out the door approved. The county's, of course, assisting the community of Terrebonne with a wastewater feasibility study. And as a part of that study, we're identifying locations and treatment options, places to put future Terrebonne effluent. And through that feasibility study process, the clear winner in terms of a place to do that would be pumping it to this larger complex, this wetland complex that the city is designing just a little over 2 to 3 miles outside of that community. It certainly would be the most efficient way to dispose of Terrebonne's effluent as a kind of a single-use customer into the city system. So the MOU that you have before you identifies the parameters and the process whereby the city and county on behalf of a future sanitary district will design and then fund a capacity for the community of Terrebonne, such that we can reserve capacity if and when Terrebonne forms a sanitary district. Now that's the place where effluent can be disposed, and there does not need to be another siting process for lagoons and what have you in Terrebonne. So the MOU just kind of describes the process where over the next several months we're going to negotiate an intergovernmental agreement. That's where all the details will actually be worked out in terms of cost, future rate methodologies, things of that nature that really kind of lock us in to this arrangement. So with that, are there any questions?
I think this is a really good kind of demeanor going in. You know, let's be a partner. Let's figure it out as we go. This is a intent to be a partner also. With the joint meeting we had with the city of Redmond, the reality is this is a financial commitment that's going to be committed one way or another, knowing that there could be a long lead time on this effort. But building in that capacity now is probably a lot more cost effective than doing it any day in the future.
Yes, when we first started working on this in 2019 with the community of Terrebonne, the business community. It is amazing that this is working out so that we can actually have the collaboration between Redmond and Terrebonne, hopefully. And it's definitely a need. And Chris, I thank you for your, I'm sure, thousands of hours that you've worked on this. No, truly. And I really appreciate it because it's needed. So, and thank you to
No, it's
Redmond.
been great timing to have these two processes kind of collide, and the willingness of both parties to come together to do the right thing by the ratepayer here is great to see, great to be part of.
Yes, it is truly great to see.
No, it's a great collaboration. You know, I would have loved to have seen the Terrebonne community be a little bit farther along in terms of, you know, forming their sanitary district, but the opportunity to address their need while Redmond is building out their wastewater treatment system is it's a wonderful partnership opportunity, and thank you for connecting all the dots and making this happen.
So you probably started off with this, but the city of Redmond did pass this as a city council after our meeting the other day?
Okay, yeah, no, I was not aware they had taken action.
Oh, I guess I'm asking. I think they might have taken action after we had a joint meeting, but I guess,
I thought they said they were going to vote on it,
yeah, so maybe we don't know, but,
but
okay,
Well-
well,
Well,
Let's hope that they
it's
run
on it's on the tee for us right now, and
yep,
we can catch up with them if they haven't yet, or sign it if they have already.
yeah. And I think they did, but we don't know that for sure here today.
So I move to approve document number 2021-922, a memorandum of understanding with the City of Redmond to enable creation of an intergovernmental agreement to allow for disposal of effluent from a future Terrebonne wastewater system in the City of Redmond's wetlands complex.
second.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, Commissioner Adair,
Yes.
Commissioner Chang,
Yes.
and Chair votes yes. Thank you.
Thank you, board, and have a great time in Eugene.
Yes.
Are you coming over
I believe I
too?
said that.
Are you
I will
coming?
not be there.
You're
I'll
not?
dial in for one meeting, I think.
There you
Oh,
go.
gosh, we thought you'd be there.
How are our road conditions looking for the rest of the
Oh, yeah.
week going there and back? Are you
Well, I
guys
think you might
anticipating?
Miss the snow, but I definitely throw a chainsaw in your trunk if you got one handy.
Yeah, for today's wins, yeah.
Yeah, you bet.
Chainsaw? Okay. Well, I've got one of those, I'm sure.
All right, thank you, board.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
So I've got a couple items, other items, if you're ready. So the public-private partnership document from Lapine Fire was approved in its final version by their board. So remember, we asked them to just change the words a little bit, and they determined that they wanted to vote on that final document now. So they did do that last Thursday. It's been provided to us. I CC'd the board in a response back to their board. So that'll be the final attachment to the order that we had signed. And then, as we know, this is version one of an agreement that I think we've committed to reviewing, but, if something doesn't quite work, maybe we'll be talking about it again in the near future, but it's been finalized.
And then CMT will sign at some point in the near future?
Yeah, as I say, this document is the one that the Lapine Fire has created, which is the agreement with CMT. So I don't know that it's signed on both parties, but so one party has. So I guess, yeah, we haven't seen CMT's response to signing it, but I assume they've been informed the whole way and been able to review it along the way, so. Yeah, I don't know. Have you looked at that document?
I just saw you.
Yeah, I just sent it out. Okay, I didn't know if it went through
I
other
was sitting here, so I haven't
channels.
opened it yet.
So, yeah, I guess, yeah, the signatories would be the other part of this. It's a final version, but now having both parties sign it is, we'll ask for a signed copy, I guess.
We'll coordinate with Chief Supkus to get
Yeah.
a copy once CMT's signed as well.
Yep, there we go. Okay, thank you so much. Another item, this is a rough draft of a document. I asked Sharon to create and it's not going to be in its final form, but that top paragraph on the other page talks about a project in Lapine with the Oregon Park and Recreation District has a grant. I was just notified of this about a couple hours ago, so that's why it's a little bit less than complete. It's just an idea to sign a letter of support for a grant to the Oregon Park and Recreation District from the city of Lapine to create an ATV staging area. And this is, down, I think it's the end of Reed Road. And the idea is that it will be a staging area for people to be able, with a bathroom and some different services, for people to be able to kind of get out to the public lands, but also be in the city. So people could come from other places and get to this without driving there on the roads. So it's an effort of kind of community connection with ATV style connections, just like we have snowmobiles in the winter and the big snow years. So is there support for maybe signing a letter of
So it's the city's project? Or-
city project? Yep, it's city land that they're talking about taking 2 acres. So I think it's that first paragraph, and this other one talks about city intends to clear and minimally develop 2 acres of ATV sighting area located in the city limits. Consist of clearing and putting down gravel. So this was probably the paragraph they sent to the Oregon Park and Recreation District grant process. The city will use the funds for the study and implementation of a limited on-road licensing program also, so that's interesting. You could license a vehicle to side-by-side, that sounds like, to be driven in the city, possibly in the future. And then the site development, increased tourism, business activity.
And so this is 2 acres that the city currently owns? Or?
Yes.
Okay. And there's already a trail that, there are already ATV trails that come to this area, and they're just talking about having a more developed kind of.
So, yeah, and as I say, this was just a couple hours ago, so I just brought it to see, for discussion even, if we just stay. So from, there's a ATV park at it's called the Roslyn Park, but it's over behind Gordy's, so that's right as it starts to go out, and there's public land on both sides of that road. And then there's Darlene Way, which is a dirt road, and I think they're talking about a parallel path next to Darlene Way, not on Darlene Way, but then that would connect them into that Reed, inside the business, edge of the business park area. So it's just, I don't even know their total dollar ask, but it's an ask to the park.
So they want to build a new trailhead, and there's not yet a trail to there, but this would be the trailhead for like a new connector or something.
Mhm. So, and really, this is just responding to a request to kind of get it out the door, because if it isn't out by this next week, then it'll be too late. So I figured before we go to AOC, if it comes together. As I say, the letter needs some work. It was just cutting and pasting a paragraph or two that Sharon started this for me. So when I saw this other paragraph, I think I would put part of this introductory paragraph in here so we acknowledge what we're advocating for, and then a simple paragraph of supporting the larger area of 12,000 residents.
Do they have more information? I mean, they have more written up than this.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, this is from the city manager. Yep.
Yeah, 'cause I'd like to know a little bit more, have a little bit more background. If it's urgent for us to move it, I
Well, as I say, it's not urgent, it was just kind of clearing the table, so I'm not, yeah.
So it's really just talking about 2 acres that they want to develop, and this is where you can ride your ATV? Is that what we're talking about?
This is
In the 2 acres?
No, this is a staging area
Okay.
in the city of Lapine, at the corner of the city, to be able to go out to the public lands, all the way to Lakeview, somebody mentioned recently. And, yeah, I mean, so it's, once you get on the public lands, you can get out to some of the dirt roads that are out there.
Yeah, I mean, my one concern is, my one concern would be getting ahead of the trail system, right? Like, so if there's already a trail to there, and you just want like a nicer trailhead, that, I have no problem with that. But if they want to kind of set up a trailhead and then like push to get a trail built, it's a potentially iffy proposition, because getting a new trail authorized and then built is a complicated process. So that's the key thing I wanted to know, and which I'm not seeing, like I'm not picking up from this.
As I say, I'm just starting the process today. We could definitely do more. So yeah, I mean, we can call it not ready at this time. I may end up learning more and signing a letter individually, or what I can do is ask Jeff to provide the next bit of information to all of us, so then we can look at it too. And I'll do that as a starting point.
I'm a big fan of recreation infrastructure. I just want to make sure we're not getting ahead of ahead of whatever entities need to build the trail.
Yeah, not a
If
problem.
it already exists. Well, when is this due, or when are they submitting?
I don't have that offhand. It might be in the email. I didn't print that part out. But as I say, this is just trying to respond to something quickly before we leave for the rest of the week. So with this discussion, I'll go learn more and share.
I mean, if it's urgent, then like if the deadline is really soon, like I would be happy to vote yes, but if there's time, I would love to learn more first.
Yeah, I don't have a date for it. But yeah, as I say, I mean, it's getting it on the table here is getting it started, so we're all good.
Maybe if you can just give us a bit more
Yep.
information and we can individually approve it, as soon as we get that email.
How about that? I mean, I'll have Jeff send more information, and then we'll come up with whatever we can, and if there's a final letter that goes out at some time, we'll acknowledge it in the next board meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, so we don't need to, because it's not final. I wasn't providing a final document. Okay, well, at least provided that.
That's all right procedurally, right? Sounds good.
And then this morning, Eastern Oregon Counties Association, I did dial in for about 30 minutes coming into town, and Commissioner Dare, you were on the call also, you said?
Yeah, I stayed the last 30.
Well, so we might not have been on at the same
Well,
time. So yeah, just,
got on
there's a
few
Zoom
minutes
call.
late. I looked for you, I didn't see you, so I thought,
Yeah.
well, we need to be on this and see what's happening.
It was a legislative update. Remember Tonkin Torp, Rocky Dallum is a lobbyist for the EOCA, and it's really the scope of what might happen in this short session is some of the comments he was making. There's legislative seats being, vacated, and then appointments are going to happen in some of the seats, so it's an interesting process right now. There was a discussion about River Democracies Act, just a little bit of frustration about the clarity and what that really is still by some of the members. I did not participate. This is just what was discussed on the call. And then the solar siting. So solar siting, I don't have the bill number, but Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife approval process. It happened in Crook County where there's a conditional use process. The county said, yes, this fits the rules, and Oregon Fish and Wildlife said, no, it doesn't fit our rules, though. And the counties, the Crook County specifically says, well, wait a minute, this doesn't make sense. We have the authority for a conditional permit, and you're trying to stop it also. So, or they didn't approve it also. So that's the conundrum there with this situation. And I don't know that we're seeing that in Deschutes County. These are larger solar fields. We may have some show up. We haven't seen any recently. We do have a few that have been built. I haven't heard of any large solar installation applications at the county. Have you guys?
Not lately.
Do you know of it? Yeah, so Nick doesn't know of any offhand.
I'm not
So-
aware of any of the larger ones.
So this is, so I think this is more of a Crook County, Lake County, Harney County thing. Some of the large counties that just happen to have large parcels there, when you put I don't know if it was like 1,900 acres or something was the maximum size. So almost 2,000 acres of solar panels, that's a different world. But that was one of the discussions today also. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I know that prior to me getting on the board, there was frustration with some of the ground-mounted solar installations that we do have that are not 2,000 acres, but cover decent chunks of land, the one along Highway 97 and out by Big Sky Park. Just that, these are areas where people were allowed to build solar farms, but were not available for housing development, and there was frustration about that. So, so that maybe that's our version of our version of people being frustrated about ground-based or fixed to the ground solar systems and competing land uses or competing desires for those lands.
Yeah, so those are the topics from this morning. I know that there's brings to mind the Community Renewable Energy Association is another effort that's kind of a county thing. I still don't have a feel for it. So Deschutes County just doesn't fit some of the same things that are going on. So a lot of these are wind, solar, and maybe hydro projects at a smaller scale inside of counties. So then some of the counties really get engaged in this, but it just hasn't been a thing here in Deschutes as much.
I mean, I know CREA provides a lot of support to entities who are trying to do in conduit. It's a big thing here in Deschutes County, but
But it hasn't come across our desks as much. As I say, as a county commissioner, being in a CREA meeting, nothing's really resonated for decision space or support or opposition or any policy type stuff. I don't know that it's our thing.
well, it's an economic development opportunity that the county could take an interest in, but if it has not taken an interest in this kind of economic development opportunity, and there's not a critical mass of support on the board, then that's
Well, so
that.
would you be supportive?
Of joining CREA,
Yeah.
I think I would be. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, we can bring that around again, because as I say, I think
I mean,
we were a $100 member or something years ago, but I don't understand it. I don't have a feel for it.
I'm pretty sure that this county has not been a member in the past, and I remember, I distinctly remember watching a past, a recording of a past board meeting where there was not a lot of support. So
Well, it's been around for a while, and I mean,
and
yeah, I don't understand. I mean, I don't.
I'm not like there's. I had
Plenty of other stuff.
There's a whole lot of other. I have a whole lot of priorities.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm just
No, it's just if you had.
if this is something that there's going to be a big fight about, like I don't need to have that big fight about it. So.
Well, no, and there's no energy on it. I don't know what it is and how it affects us. I still don't. It's been years, and
I mean,
I've tried to follow it.
Brian Skaheen came and presented it in 2019? I mean, it wasn't that long ago. And it was, there wasn't a very warm reception. So I don't need to, I don't need to.
Do you understand what I'm saying? The difference between, I really don't understand what it is and how it applies to us. It's not like it's a negative reception. It's kind of a clueless reception. I don't understand what it means. What am I missing? What would I get excited about when somebody comes in and says, hey, we've got a great idea? I don't know what the idea is. I'm still missing it.
Basic example.
And I didn't think we were going to go here today, but I'm just, yeah.
So PURPA, I forget what PURPA stands for, but basically PURPA is the state law that requires utilities to give a power purchase agreement to a small scale, community scale renewable energy project. The utilities are not big fans of PURPA. They're like, we don't want to have to integrate in this little, in conduit hydro project, or like the one that we heard so much about up in the Three Sisters Irrigation District earlier this year. The utilities don't want to deal with it.
Commissioner Adair's backyard?
That one, yes.
So I mean,
Exactly.
the utilities are constantly trying to gut PURPA, and if not for entities like CREA, they would probably succeed. So, I mean, it's, you know, like Korea works for policies that create a favorable environment for, you know, development of renewable energy projects. You know, Korea could, you know, support us in some of the policy tweaks or creations of funding programs that are needed to get state funding for the Mount Bachelor Biomass Project. It's just an opportunity. I mean, it's an opportunity for rural communities to speak with a shared voice. Les Perkins would be much better person than me to kind of pitch this. I believe he's the
Commissioner in Hood River?
Yeah, I believe he's the
Maybe
chair.
I'll talk to him this, yeah, so as I say.
Yeah, you should, if he's in Eugene, you should
Yeah.
talk with him about.
Okay. So that was a couple items I brought. Anything else?
I would mention that on Wednesday after our board meeting, I went to the Legacy Landing ribbon cutting. So it's a affordable housing project built by Housing Works out on Connors. You know, that it's the first stage of work on Connors, next to the parcels that, you know, we're involved with. And the project they built out there is a 47-unit senior affordable housing project. A very, very exciting project. And they, within those 47 units, I won't remember the exact numbers, but they reserved maybe 4 for veterans, senior veterans who are income constrained and are having challenges finding places to live. And also they reserved a handful of units for the you know, patients, clients, OHP, and Medicare patients that use Mosaic Medical's clinic, which is the way that specific building is was a partnership between Housing Works and Mosaic Medical. So Mosaic Medical has a clinic downstairs on the west side of the building, and then the rest is, you know, 47-unit apartment building for seniors. And it's a
Yeah,
beautiful
exciting.
project. Yeah, very
Housing Works knows how to get things done when they
They
have the
do.
runway. They just go.
Yeah, no, and they're really good at building, you know, multifamily housing for rent, and it'll be interesting to see. My understanding is they're thinking of putting something in for our affordable housing bucket for ARPA funds. So that would give us a little bit more of a mix of things. Some, you know, home ownership opportunities, some, you know, more units, but rental units opportunities, and, you know, we could put together a more mixed portfolio that way, I guess.
Great.
Yeah, so there's that. I would also mention this afternoon, we'll probably, I didn't think we would be done.
I know, the first 3 items were done.
But at 2:30, a number of state agencies are going to give a presentation to the legislature, that one of the Senate committees, state Senate committees, on SB 762. So if you know, if you want to see the policymakers' condensed version of, you know, what's been going on with SB 762, there'll be they're going to have a hearing on that this afternoon. And the third thing I would just mention is I was talking to someone this weekend about vaccination for kids, 5 to 11-year-old kids, and it sounds like there have been a ton of families coming into Mosaic to get their kids vaccinated, but that they're not necessarily the kind of the standard Mosaic patients. You know, that it's not just OHP, you know, covered families or uninsured families. It's like everybody's going in there, and it sounds like they are kind of overwhelmed by it. You know, that there's so many of their not core clientele coming in to get their kid a vaccination that they are taking staff away from kind of their core patients. to meet that need. And I wanted to raise just the question of whether there is something that, our health services department could be doing to help out with the, with this kind of heavy demand for
Yeah, I mean, we
for
can
kid
ask-
vaccinations.
Ask Nick to look into that.
Yeah, Nick and I chatted with him a little bit about this today, but yeah.
Well, so there's no complaint on a lot of people wanting to get vaccines, though.
I mean, there's,
I'm pointing out that that's good.
well, it's good, but I mean, basically, like, an organization that's set up mostly
Yeah,
to
no, they're-
serve OHP clients is absorbing the load for the community, which is, I'm concerned about that. And, yeah, I mean, and there's a lot of demand. I mean, we saw a lot I can't remember whether it was our last COVID update or whether I was just looking at the epidemiology report at the end of the week from last week. But I mean, the percentage of the population 5 to 11 that's vaccinated, it's just like jumping. And I know that we've been trying to hold our capacity for, as the, vaccination site of last resort. We didn't want all those people who want the boosters to
Promote ourselves.
we were trying to get them to go to pharmacies and their primary care physicians. But right now we're doing it, and so if we're going to kind of come through for the people who want the boosters, I would also like to see us come through for the people with kids that they want to get vaccinated.
As I say, I mean, just, acknowledging it, and Nick can make a communication to the health, say, what kind of resources can we offer?
Right? Yeah, just putting that out there. Didn't want to surprise anybody next meeting or whatever.
Commissioner Dare, any?
Yes, I'd just like to make a comment about the Veterans Village. Thank goodness it should be taking its first 5 residences today. I do believe one of them is a diabetic veteran, and he was so appreciative of the fact that they do have half baths in their bungalows. So it turned out so beautiful. I want to thank, there's a million people to thank. Truly, our community came together, but Megan Martin of Furnish Hope really, their group really did an outstanding job. The thing I was a bit concerned over was Thursday was Veterans Day. It is a federal and a state holiday nationally, with the exception of the state of Wisconsin. And I had a health council meeting that day. And I had other meetings that were scheduled that day that all got moved, but that one didn't. And I don't know if you're aware or not, but we in America lose about 22 veterans a day. And after Afghanistan, that number has actually jumped up by a couple. And I just feel like we all need to reach out as much as we can. Thank goodness the village is opened, and I know it truly will make a difference. Those are 15 homeless veterans when it's completely, they've all moved in to their bungalows, and I'm just so thankful. Thank you to Eric Tobiasen, thank you to Sam Davis, to Kovo, JW, Kathy. I mean, the list goes on and on and on, and the J-Bar-J kids and the Heart of Oregon, and then all the roofers from our community, which are too numerous to mention, but an enormous lift, and it's a wonderful, incredibly nice facility, and I do hope that this is going to make a difference for our community, because the weather definitely seems like it's changing this afternoon, doesn't it?
It's happening fast out there.
Yeah,
How about that blacktop, though, too? I mean, that was a finished,
Oh, yeah.
landscaped, gravelled with the blacktop and the parking and the walkways. That was nice. Just smooth transitions onto the little porches and into those units.
So my question to the community is, next year, November 11th, is out on a Friday. You know how sometimes it flips for a day forward. And honestly, I would hope that our world would acknowledge veterans, and they have served, and we are so fortunate that they have been so brave to serve our country. And is it on a Friday?
Yes.
Okay. All right, well, that will give everyone the 3-day weekend. I honestly, my sister, one of my sisters had her birthday on November 11th, and I always couldn't believe it. She never had to go to school on her birthday. And then somehow, remember that where they flipped it so it would be a 3-day weekend? No, these are people who gave their lives for our country. They truly need to be recognized, and that's all I'll say about that today. Oh, and then Friday morning, I got to go to the Sisters Coffee House, something that they'd been working and talking about since 2013. They had an enormous groundbreaking ceremony, and they are working on their roaster out in Sisters, within the community. And it's just wonderful to see second generation taking what their parents had done, instilled in them, and what they're doing with their coffee company. So thank you, Sisters Coffee.
Is there anything else?
Nothing for me.
No executive session, so 45 minutes. Getting there. Seeing
See
nothing.
you in Eugene.
Yep, see you in Eugene. Seeing nothing else, we'll call meeting adjourned.